Hello, everybody. We are very happy and proud to have you all on our free introductory webinar for the SIY program, which we organized the 7th and the 8th November. I am Marco Houwen, and together with Audrey Rouache and Sylvain Coton, I am the co-founder of the How Institute. And so we are not here to listen too much about the How Institute, but I still will tell you in a sentence what we are doing. So we are helping companies to create their strategy, to create a learning organization for the future, so to be future-proof and to be capable to innovate on all levels in the next century, or in this century. So without any further ado, I will give the word to Frédéric Charrier and Christina Jardin, who are both certified SIY teachers, who will bring us a better understanding and give us a better understanding what search inside yourself is, what mindfulness is, what emotional intelligence is. And yeah, very happy to have you both today in the webinar.
Thanks very much. Thanks very much, Marco. And thank you, all the team from the How Institute, for this collaboration to bring SIY for the first time in Luxembourg. We are so excited to do that. And before we explain what is SIY as a program and even the results and the impact, we would like to invite you to a short practice. It's a kind of mindfulness pause. It's a very short practice. By the way, it's one of the practices that we normally use in this SIY program. This short practice is very easy, very transferable to the workplace. It's one of the practices that we can use even before a meeting. So in this moment, we would like to have a teaser with you all. And if you don't mind, I will guide you in this. So to start, let's try to find a posture that you can be alert and relaxed at the same time. You don't need anything else but your body for this practice. So try to put apart all the things that you don't need in this moment. You can have your eyes open, but I really suggest you to have your eyes slightly closed to notice your body and your breath. So maybe we can have all together 2 or 3 deep breaths in and out. And perhaps arc your back slightly and notice your hands. Maybe you can put your attention to your feet on the floor. Notice that you are sitting on a chair. Notice your shoulders are soft. Relax your jaws, your eyebrows. Take a moment to notice your body. There's no need to change anything, it's just observing. I will invite you now to put your attention on your breathing. Maybe you can feel in your body where you are breathing. Maybe you can notice your stomach as it rises and falls. Or maybe you can find your chest up and down, or even at the tips of your nostrils with cool air coming in and warmer air going out. Just stay there for a while and find your anchor point. And just focus your attention in that part of your body that you feel your breath more vividly. observing, noticing. And if your mind wanders, no problem, don't worry too much. Simply bring your attention back to that anchor point. Now take 2 or 3 deep breaths in and out again. And keeping this ability of attention and calmness, you can open your eyes little by little and coming back to the room.
Thank you for guiding us, Christina. And this probably leads us to why we are here today and why we are proposing this Search Inside Yourself program. Maybe a word about the practice. Why we do that and why we suggest it as a practice when arriving to a meeting, for example, is that typically in our busy or hectic business lives, our bodies are in one place when we arrive to a meeting, but our minds may be somewhere else, like in the previous meeting or in that email we just received. So this is a way of collecting the attention, settling the mind, and fully being focused on the present moment and on this very meeting. So now, why are we here today, and why do we humbly think that this program is coming at the right moment? Well, research and surveys say that quite a lot of, and you might recognize this data, quite a lot of people or employees report being disengaged while they are at work, with only about 30% of them all working and performing to their very best. So you can imagine the impact on productivity and the impact on the company results. Next to that, only 8% of people tend to report they feel happy at work. And yeah, we know what the consequences can be on absenteeism and the related costs of that, on talent retention, and also, as we know, on people's health, on employees' health, with an increasing number of burnouts as a general trend. On top of that, only 21% of people report that the way they are being managed or recognized or rewarded is in a way that makes them motivated enough to deliver outstanding performance. So think about that, only 1/3 of people. And this is having, as we said, an impact on productivity, but also on their creativity, their sense of innovation. And sometimes we recognize that this situation or their perception may be linked to a disalignment between their personal and the company values. And this last one you may recognize, or that may look familiar in our busy business lives. And yes, indeed, compared to a couple of years ago, people report that in our super busy, super connected, and always solicited lives, business lives, we experience more stress and overwhelm than ever. which leads to difficulties in finding what is really important?
Well, these are common situations that we are facing nowadays in the workplace. Probably we see that we live in a big transformation, and the new environment is called VUCA, which means that we live in a world which is volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And this VUCA world brings new challenges every day, and other skills are needed and other strengths are needed to face them day to day. So from the last 10 years, neuroscience has shown that if we train our emotional competencies and our mindfulness capability, we can really change our brain in structure and functionality, which will bring important benefits on work and life. So we can go to the previous one, that one. So first, we can be better leaders because, of course, our empathy grows and we can better understand the others. Also, we can improve our performance and collaboration as our communication enhances. And of course, we can also improve our inner resources and having better resilience. One of the neuroscientific studies comes from Richard Davidson. So Richard Davidson from the University of Wisconsin-Madison is and one of the collaborators of SIY program, is one of the well-known neuroscientific in the moment. And you can see in this quote, mindfulness at work is not only that helps in a mental or emotional level with employees or to employees, but also in a physical level too. And here's one of the testimonials we have from attendees in our programs. Bill George, which is a former CEO of Medtronic, who brought mindfulness to the organization. And he explains how meditation, in this case, mindfulness meditation, brought focus, effectiveness, and improved teamwork and decision making.
So, thank you. If this is a common finding and this is what neuroscience suggests, what can we do to develop these skills? And this actually leads us to the formula, to what is the structure of the Search Inside Yourself program. So the initial premise is that emotional intelligence is a skill. So it is not that you are or you are not emotionally intelligent, because as a skill, emotional intelligence is trainable. So we look at the neuroscience that explains how this is possible. And neuroscience clearly is a key pillar in the program. And the vehicle that we use to teach that, to practice that, is mindfulness. So in other words, understanding how the brain works, we use mindfulness practices to build emotional intelligence competencies. So that's the program. And this means that the Search Inside Yourself program, you may have seen that in the program description or invitation, the program uses mindfulness practices. Now, what are these? Well, mindfulness meditation are nothing but mental trainings. Like when you go to the gym to train your physical fitness, mindfulness is about mental training, training brain areas to make them stronger. So, as I explained, we're talking about practices that help people, employees, everyday people actually strengthen their focus and be more present at work and in life, because we are here in a business context. But the interesting thing about the program is that the skills people will learn are easily applicable in their everyday life. So here what we use to do that is the emotional intelligence framework that Daniel Goleman largely popularized with his book Emotional Intelligence. And he explains that Emotional intelligence is the ability to understand and skillfully manage emotions and relationships. That's a very summarized definition. And these relationships and emotions in ourselves and also in our relationships with others. We'll explain more about that. So what the value is for leaders is that by developing their self-leadership capacities, it helps them develop into more agile and compassionate leaders. As you may have noticed also on the website, the program Such As Yourself was born and tested within Google a couple of years ago. And Such As Yourself Leadership Institute, which is a non-profit, is a kind of spin-off that was born after being tested within Google, so that the program becomes accessible to individuals and organizations around the world.
So the question is, how does it work? Well, in a very practical way and easily transferable to work and life, SIY is structured in the content that we're going to see now in the screen. That's it, thank you. It's about 16 hours of experiential training divided, as you see here, in 6 different subjects. So first, we train mindfulness as the capability of being present. And we do it through easy practices. And probably this is one of the strengths of the program. We go into something that is very easy and very useful for the day-to-day work. For SIY program, this is mindfulness is the basis of emotional intelligence development. We have to be present and to be aware of what's going on with us, emotions, thoughts, even reactions in the body. And then this is the second step in the program, the self-awareness. Then in the third step, we dive into self-management to learn how to drive with difficulties, challenges, keeping calm. And we train this by different tools. Fourth step, as you can see here, is motivation. We work about inner motivation, and we connect people and job through values and resilience. This is the content we see in inner motivation. So as you can see here, this part is about oneself. Mindfulness, self-awareness, self-management, and inner motivation is about oneself. So once we have the self-domain, it's much easier to manage relationships in the workplace or at home. And here we train, in the fifth step, we train empathy to build trust and psychological safety, which, by the way, is the main factor of effectiveness in the team. And we finished this 16-hour training with leadership. So in this program from SIY, we understand that all of us, we are leaders in the way that we can impact and influence others. So here we train how to communicate with insight and how to lead with compassion, which are the main competencies for a transformational leader. But of course, SIY doesn't finish with the training. 4 weeks of daily practice is following with our 28-day challenge, in which we practice the content and we create and maintain new emotional and intelligent habits. And because SIY is a program adapted to corporation, I can say that practices are very short and useful. And we continue the program, or the program finishes with a webinar, as you can see there, to reconnect and share challenges. This webinar is also very useful to reflect how to bring new ideas and how can we put them in practice to be more emotionally intelligent and resilient at work.
Now, as we said as an introduction, why do we think Such and Such Yourself arrives at a good time, at a good moment? And well, it's actually based on research, as we shared earlier, but also on evidence-based data, because what we do in Search Inside Yourself is that we measure the impact of the program on various dimensions. So we survey participants to the program before they start, and then 4 weeks after that. So the data that we will share now is based on a survey with 1,500 participants to this same 2-day program around the world and over the past year. So examples of the dimensions that we measure are the impact on stress. So with, for example, an 18% increase in the participants' capacity to let go of negative emotions and thoughts. Secondly, we also measure a 10% decrease of the feeling of being drained emotionally due to their work. Second example of the dimensions we measure is focus, where we see a 17% increase in the ability of participants to prioritize their work, and a 26% increase in their level of concentration. So pretty interesting and important in terms of focus, productivity. Then comes performance, which we measure as well. And performance here is reflected in terms of approach to challenges, in terms of resilience as well. So here 2 examples with a 15% increase that we see in people's ability to focus on opportunities rather than on the negative sides of events. And then also a greater capacity to bounce back. So talking about a greater resilience with a 21% increase here. And then a last example of a dimension we measure is related to leadership, with here, as we see, almost a 20% increase in people's capability to consider the other person's perspective when they are in conflict, or a 20% increase in their ability to pause before reacting. So creating that space between a trigger or a difficulty and choosing their response instead of emotionally reacting.
So the results before come from the Search Inside Yourself Leadership Institute, but we would like to share with you another business case. This is SAP business case. As you probably know, SAP is the software giant and is one of the companies which had implemented SIY globally. In this moment, 7,500 people have followed the program, and they have a waiting list of 5,500 people at this moment. So as you can see in the screen, they measure 4 weeks after the program, as we normally do in our programs, and they measured 6 months later, finding, as you can see there, finding increasing benefits. So you can have a look to the different KPIs, like well-being or collaboration or maybe engagement. You see the delta 6 months after in green is increased, and you can have a look to stress how it's going down the more and more. So I think this information is showing very well that the long-term effects of SIY program and how people are changing habits and behaviors leading to better productivity. And well, we are very happy to announce SIY public program for the first time in Luxembourg, and of course available to any organization or individual that wants to base the growth in emotional intelligence.
So, thank you for that, Christina, and thank you for your attention. What we would like to do now, and thank you for not having interrupted the explanation, the presentation. Now is the time for you to come up with comments or questions in preparation for the public program, which will take place on November 7th and 8th. So feel free to raise your hands or to ask your questions in the chat if you would like to ask a question. You can do that, and please unmute yourself if you are willing to ask a question live. Thank you.
One question from my side, Marco here. If now this is an open program, how do you, besides the fact of the 28 days for the people who are joining the program, how do you foresee, well, to make this a critical mass in companies? What is your strategy on that?
Thank you for your question, Marco. I want to make sure I get it right. So you want to understand how the public program, as we will have it, and the group we will have in Luxembourg, will enable us to potentially demonstrate the impact it can have within companies. Is that right?
No, I am a participant, and I am participating in the event. I love it. Now I go back to my company, and I'm the only one who has done that. So what are the means to go further in the company so that the whole company gets into the search inside yourself movement?
Thank you for clarifying, Marco. So how it will work for you as a participant is that you will experience a 2-day program, then the 28-day challenge. You will receive many tools each day that you can potentially bring into your organization. And initiating a start within your organization starts with changing your own behavior and your leadership style. So this is the very beginning. Now, at the end of the 28-day challenge, we also give you a toolkit, tools, for example, to organize mindful meetings. Or in the program, as you will discover, we have some mindfulness practices, which are like the one Christina just led, a bit longer. You dedicate time just for that. But the interesting thing is that we come up with ideas of micro practices as well. So kind of pocket practices that you can integrate within your day and with your colleagues. Now, we are very conscious of the fact that some people might be skeptical, that it might be difficult to integrate that within your company. So next to the initiatives that you can take yourself to propose that within your company, we can also meet with your HR or leadership and development people in the company and propose to have a pilot program for people within the company, or to give a keynote as a teaser of what Search Inside Yourself stands for, and share some of the results that we are measuring in other companies in the market or in the neighbor markets. Does that kind of answer your question?
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome.
I would like to add something else that, of course, we know we live in this VUCA world and everything goes so fast, and our to-do lists, they are bigger and bigger, and we don't have time even to respond to certain mails. So we don't want to really add more things to do in a kind of a stressy mode. So the practices are so short and so useful that normally what we do in organizations is we do them at the beginning in the morning, for example, when we are just in front of the PC, just before we prepare, just before we go into a meeting. We can have like 5 minutes. Sometimes people are taking the practices even in the car, in the parking, or when they leave before they go home. So we know that there are certain moments that we can apply these little and short practices. And even sometimes, because the daily practices you will receive in your mail, So maybe sometimes you can even share with your team. This is a very good practice that in the moment that you receive the mail and receive the practice, you can share. So I'm sure that we can find like little moments in the day, and that because of that, we can create new habits. That's the purpose.
Thank you.
Maybe if nobody else asking a question, I have another question. Now, we talked a lot about the professional side of SIY and how this helps effectiveness in the company and me being more effective as an employee in my company. Now, what are your thoughts? What are your results you maybe measured around how this impacts my private life or could impact my private life?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Shall I? Yeah.
Go.
Okay. So thank you for asking, Marco, again. What we see, of course, we do not measure the impact in people's private lives. We can only collect feedback and what they report to us as how they experience the program and the impact it has afterwards. So what we hear from people is that I had yesterday a participant to a recent program in a large company who said, and it's a person beyond the 40, and she said that's actually the best program I've ever had in my whole career, in my whole life. And she says, I apply some of the tools with my kids already. So I'm going to give two examples of practices that we learn and we teach throughout the program. One is mindful listening. So simply, be it in meetings, listening, not interrupting, and really trying to understand what the person is expressing, is something that we not always tend to do, because we always tend to think about giving a solution, finding a solution, or getting stuff done. Well, this is important in meetings, but this is also important when talking to your partner or to your friends, because if you are not present when you are with them, then what is the quality of the time and the exchanges that you are having, right? And also, I would say you're talking about productivity, effectiveness. That's not really the end goal of the program. It's rather an impact, an effect that the program is having. So when people tend to settle their mind more often during the day, in everything they do, for example, while eating, simply stopping, pausing, it then creates more connections in their brain, and it influences their behavior. And this is valid while they are at work, but this is also valid in their relationships, in their private lives, in their communities. So this is something you can notice in all aspects of your life. So this is what people tend to report. So I don't know, Christina, if you want to add something.
Yes, thank you very much. I would like to say that, you know, wherever the role we are having in our organization or in our work, or maybe we don't work, we are people. So, and sometimes we cannot separate, like, I am one person in my private life and I am another person in my professional life. It's not like that. We are the same in one place or another. And SIY, it works on the inner strength of people. And we talk about authenticity at the end. So wherever we go through all the topics and all the subjects, we train through the content. Of course, the first step is ourselves and is the inner part. So, and then we will apply to our work, or we will apply to whatever the role is. But first, the impact is within us. So, of course, this program is perfectly available for organization, teams, and individuals. At the end, we are individuals in the organization as well.
Thanks a lot for the input. I have one question, quite personal, and so let me know if it goes too far, but we can see that you live within this program, and I would like to know maybe your personal experience, what change it made in your own life.
Yeah, thank you for asking that, Audrey. For a change, you want to start, Christina? I'm sure.
Well, yes. Thank you very much for the question. I think is nice to share that. For me, as an SIY certified teacher, of course, I have to show my commitment. For me, it has been a personal adventure going through this program, because of course, all of us, we are learning how to drive and how to face our challenges and personal or professional again. So for me, this training has been a personal journey, and it has been teaching me who I am first, which are my strengths, which are my values, which is my highest purpose, and how to get all this information to a better contribution in a better world. And of course, it gave me a lot of tools to apply in my day-to-day work, and of course applying in my daily life, like a little pause every day, like mindful listening, as Fred said, with my family. At the end, living in a different way, more mindfully, more conscious, more aware, with self-awareness of all the things that are going on inside and outside. And this has given me the opportunity to grow more, both personal and professional. Thank you for the question.
Thank you, Christina. And if I may share about my story, I have to say that this is really a journey, and the program is also the start of a journey for people, I think. Personally, what my experience has been is I've been in business and in financial services for 26 years in various leadership roles, many different areas of the businesses I was working for. And this is really the result of my personal search for solutions. Like, I've been studying mediation because I was looking for solutions to prevent and manage conflicts within companies or within teams. And this is what brought me really to Search Inside Yourself, and willing to learn these tools that I had been searching for myself. And now that I've found that structure and these techniques and tools, I really think this is now my turn to share these, because I'm convinced that people need them so much right now, with, as we said, a lot of burnouts, a lot of difficulties, overwhelm, always on, always connected. So indeed, we as a certified teachers like to share this, because we experienced ourselves what it can mean, what it can, how helpful it can be to navigate difficulties in life. And just to clarify, it's not that we have all the solutions, that this is a panacea. No, we think that the challenges in anybody's life will be there, whatever happens, life happens. Simply, it's about finding new skills to navigate them a little bit more easily.
Thanks a lot. Very helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Being conscious of time, we are actually exactly on time for a promised 40 minutes. Mm-hmm. So maybe if there is a last question, we could go for it. Otherwise, I wait. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, I cannot thank you enough, Christina and Frederick, for giving us these insights on what Search Inside Yourself is about. And I just can tell everybody, sign up 7th, 8th of November. We have a great 2 days at Alvis Park Hotel, and looking forward to see you all there. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye.
Thank you for having us. And we can't wait to share more. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.